I've always been very bad at game jams. Those competitions where you get a set amount of time to create a game from scratch. I don't think the reason is because my games are bad. It's just that I like to continue just adding more and more features to the game, so the game never gets finished. And sometimes it doesn't even get finished in a playable state. Right now there's a new game jam happening by YouTuber UniperDev. I think this is my opportunity to finally finish a game for a game jam. And the reason why is because I'm starting late. So this game jam started on Friday, and right now it's Tuesday, and the due date is this Friday. So I just have like 4 days, I think, to finish a game. The reason why starting off late is gonna be good for me, I think, is because my mind is already in crunch mode. In all seriousness, I just wanna make something playable and small and follow all the rules of the game jam. If by then I can just turn something in that's playable and maybe gets like at least one positive comment, I can say that I succeeded. We don't have a lot of time left, so let's get started. Today, the only thing we're gonna do is create the repository in GitHub.
Okay, finally it's time to work. Sorry if it sounds a bit whispery or ASMR-ish. It's like 2 AM in the morning, so yeah. Anyway, I think the classic look for a spin to win is one of those wheels, right? With different price monies. And I think that's gonna be a very common thing in a lot of these games, so I don't really wanna make it the main thing of this game, but I think it's kind of have to be necessary. For spin to win, for some reason I was thinking of like the eternal cycle of rebirth and dying. I really wanted to make a game about that sort of stuff for the longest time, but I really haven't had the opportunity, so maybe this is the time I can actually make a game about that. This idea is very lightly associated with the whole theme of the competition. I do think it counts, to be honest, but I'm still gonna add the classic game wheel to the game in some sort of way. My main idea right now is that each round is like a whole cycle of life. Every time you die in the game, you relive life. And in the death part of cycle, we can play the game, the spin to win game, to get bonuses for the next life. And you do that over and over again until you win in some way. I was thinking maybe you can accumulate a certain amount of currency, and by the end you have to basically buy your way out of this eternal cycle of rebirth. So the goal of the game is basically to die forever. For now, the actual game, the one you're gonna restart over and over again, I think it's basically just gonna be like a normal roguelike experience, like the Binding of Isaac, but way simpler. And yeah, I'm just gonna get started working on that. The game is gonna have the shape of a square. I've been wanting to experiment with that type of screen resolution, so we're gonna work with that. I also have some drawings that I wanted to use for another game jam that failed. I just checked and I can use some of my older assets for this competition, as long as we make most of the game during this time period. So I think I'm good. I just noticed that I have another game that is called Doom Scrolling Simulator, in which you have to reach something called Brain Rot Nirvana. And it's kind of funny because it kind of follows the same thing of trying to escape this sort of infinite loop. It's really unintentional. I just think maybe it's like a cool theme. And there's a lot of other world philosophies that follow sort of this pattern of eternal recurrence. I'll just continue working before somebody calls me a suit. Now it's time to place everything on the game engine. I'm using Godot, and this part is very rudimentary, just making sure movement works and whatever. And just as soon as something small works, it's time to export it, just to be sure that the game actually runs on computers, in this case the browser, so that I don't dedicate a lot of hours to this just to find out that no one will be able to play it at the last minute. I really like to add polish in this stage of the game development because I'm forcing myself to basically do it. I think it's easier for me to finish up a feature than to finish up polish when I'm under pressure, but that's just me. And with my history of unfinished game jams, I think maybe it's not the best plan.
Okay, so we're 24 hours before the deadline and I basically finished all of the art. The thing is that I haven't really played the game, so I don't really know if the game loop is gonna work. So what I'm gonna do before going to sleep is basically just finish the game loop with all of the art and kind of test it out. Well, there's not much I can do if it's not a good game, because I just went with the first idea I came up with, and I started way too late to even try any other idea. In things like this, they always say something like, it's okay to pivot, but I really don't have time for that, so I'm gonna see if I can do some tweaks. Like, I'm already assuming it's gonna be bad, to be honest. I'm very pessimistic about this idea, but maybe it's gonna turn out fine. We'll see. So the game loop, the way it's gonna work is we're gonna have 3 stages. The first one is gonna be life, which is gonna be the normal hitting the enemies kind of stuff. Then we're gonna have death. In death is where you can spin the wheel to multiply your earnings. So then in the third stage, which is rebirth, you can use your earnings to buy the weapons you're gonna use in life. Eventually you wanna get enough money to buy your way out of this whole cycle. It doesn't sound as confusing, I think, when I explain it like this, but I need to make it understandable inside the game without interrupting the player with annoying tutorials. We'll see. I have like 3 different design languages here with my buttons, but it's too late to make it logical. I hope people don't get confused by this. There are a few annoying things that I won't be fixing, like these buttons. As you can see, the labels don't press down with the whole button, unlike with this button that does work correctly. And this happens in a lot of games I've made, and it's really a skill issue on my part. That could be fixable if I created a script that I can just reuse so that the label on top of the button goes down with the button. But I don't think I'm doing that anytime soon, so I'm just gonna complain about it. I decided to add this little coin animation when the enemies die. It also shows the amount of coins the player gets when this happens. I've had some trouble before in other games with the Godot animation thingy, and I don't really know why. It works sometimes, and other times it just doesn't do what I tell it to do. When I don't get the animation thingy to work, I just do it in code with tweens, which is easy enough for small animations, like the coin thing. That's pretty simple to do in code. But if I wanted to do something more complicated like this character moving, I need to make it work inside the editor, so I'm always glad when it works when I wanted to. And yeah, that's just a skill issue on my part, again. One of the big bad decisions I've been making while developing this game is the way I organize the enemies. The quote-unquote good way to do this is by having just one scene that controls any enemy, but I felt like I was in a hurry, so I basically duplicated it for every type of enemy. Good thing there's only 3 types of enemies, so it's good. As a punishment for this bad decision, I just had to copy and paste a lot of things in code and a lot of things in the scenes, so that sucks. Okay, so the whole wheel functionality is taking way longer than I expected, so we're gonna have to cut back on a few things. We really can't skip the tutorial. I think it's necessary, and I think it has some storytelling in it. The music, I think, is gonna be completely cut out from the game. I was thinking of maybe using the same music I use for my YouTube videos, but I think they won't really fit in this game. So I think what I'm gonna do is basically just for the background noise, I'm gonna record some normal noises from the outside and the world, and maybe that's gonna give it like a weird, eerie feeling to the whole game. I don't know. Still, it's gonna take less time than making new music, so we're gonna try that out. And I also wanted to do some transitions between the scenes like I've done in some other games, and these are very simple with some shaders in Godot, but I really don't think I have the time for that. So I think it's also gonna fit with the eerie feeling the music slash lack of music is gonna give, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the game loop is basically done. Thing is that it has some weird bugs, but not bugs that really affect the gameplay or anything. I think I'm also gonna cut game feel, so no camera movements or whatever, or effect to make it feel more alive. Besides the wheel stuff that I still can't get to work correctly, I have to make the tutorial, and it's taken a long time. The way I'm doing this is by making a huge bootstrap script that I know I'm doing wrong and very badly, that is just supposed to like remember if the player already passed some things in the tutorial or in the gameplay, and basically sets the whole game loop in motion. So when the player first starts playing the game, it starts with the bootstrap, and then it gives the player a very small PowerPoint presentation, and then it can start the whole life cycle with some tips and tutorials sprinkled around so that the player know what's going on. I was just about to tell myself I was not gonna fix the wheel thing because it technically worked right. It shows the correct thing it was pointing to. Not the exact one, but the correct thing. But the whole point of the game, the whole theme of the game is spin to win, and it's kind of lame. That's not working really visually, so it's more than just a small polish issue. I think it actually has to work. So yeah, I'm gonna just give it a few minutes to fix this before moving on. Okay, so a lot has happened in the past few hours. It's now way after 12 a.m. after the deadline, and I really couldn't record anything after the last bit because I entered full panic mode. The issue with the wheel took a lot of time. I even submitted the game at 11 something with the wheel all fucked up, but after that I could kind of relax for a bit, and I eventually ended up fixing it before the deadline. itch.io crashed anyway, so Juniper Dev gave us 30 minutes extra for us to finish things up. And I think you can still fix some bugs after 24 hours after the deadline, so everything was good. The game jam officially ended a few days ago, so now we're just basically rating each other's game and playing them. Right now I've had like 50 rated games, so I'll just continue playing the others' games for the next 3 days, so we'll see how that goes. For the moment, I've gotten some positive reviews, so that's goal number 2 completed for this challenge, and I think that's basically what I wanted for this. So at the moment, 13 people have reviewed the game. I still can't see what they rated it, but we'll see what happens. After playing my game again, I realized there was some bugs still. For example, I didn't really end up fixing the whole wheel thing, so that was a few hours wasted for nothing, and I didn't really want to fix it in the 24-hour window we had later. There was a huge balance issue in the game that some people caught on to it, but I thought to myself, it's just a 5 to 10 minute game, so I'm just gonna leave it as is, and people can get the idea kinda. So yeah, there's a lot of things I could work on if I give it more time. I still don't know if I will, but still I'm very happy with how things turned out, and we'll see how the ratings go later in the week. But right now I'm basically just happy that I finished a game jam game, so you can try out the game in the link in the description, and be sure to play other people's games because they've been really fun. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.